everyone, welcome to another installment from Ampro Engineering. Again, I'm coming to you from not my house due to construction. Hopefully I'll post a little update every time I do these videos so you can see that eventually I'll be back home. What we have got here is an LDRC 1/14 scale vehicle. It appears to be a Mitsubishi. Now, what's interesting about this, and I'll cover this video soon, is that they also have a version of this that you put together yourself. I'm a big fan of kits. Over here, I'm quite intrigued because I'm seeing a pretty simple ladder chassis. Now, this is molded, of course. Motor, gearbox kind of toward the front, and down here, we've got a double wishbone independent front suspension, which is cool to see on these vehicles. It is 1/14 scale. Kind of curious about the radio on this guy. This box, obviously you can't tell, but the box is heavy. Let's go ahead and open this guy up. I have a feeling it just take this thing out from the top here. I have a number of LDRC vehicles, and I've actually been working with this company since the beginning. I have seen a tremendous amount of improvement from day one. And while their vehicles are not perfect, every single time there is a new release, there's more and more improvements. The quality gets better and better, and the performance is better and better. Ooh, it's a nice blue. Probably the radio. And here is some extra pieces. Charger. Nothing too wild on here. Do we have an English? Yeah, we do have an English page here. Oh, this is just telling us some of the extra pieces that it comes with that you can put on. Okay, so this mirrors, headlight washers, corner markers, nothing too crazy there. It's mostly assembled. Okay, so here is the car. It is surprisingly scale looking. It really does have a bit of a toy feel, I have to admit. Undercarriage wise, it is a fairly decent looking underside here. We have no differential. The drive shaft has a good amount of bulk to it. I've seen significantly smaller. We do have metal. That's a universal joint. We have a metal universal joint here. That's impressive. Can you see that? Everything else does have, you know, a cheap, I hate to say the word cheap, an inexpensive feel to it. It is most likely a ABS molded chassis. I doubt it's polycarbonate. This has got a little bit of flex to it. Just, you know, the first thing is I hate the wheels. I just despise the wheels. Other than that, tires actually, these tires aren't bad. They're ugly. But the tires, no, the tires are not bad on this at all. I'm really surprised to see that. Are they glued? Okay, well, the tires are not glued, but they do have foam in them. The vehicle sits low. And as much as I love vehicles that sit low, I feel like this sits too low. Can you adjust the shock? So these are not shocks, these are just springs. I'm not seeing preload clips, but we'll keep looking. The vehicle, I know it's difficult for you to feel, but this is heavy. Like, it is really heavy. Battery access is through right here. A little arrow will tell you to open that and slide it over. The battery seems to be pretty much standard fare for LDRC. You know, the detailing is simple with a panel line tool, maybe a clear coat or some weathering in this. You know, it's a very handsome looking RC. It definitely feels toyish. I don't want to say anything bad about it until I drive it, because like I said, it actually, you know, has a decent look to it. I'm pretty surprised. It does not feel like the other LDRC vehicles, so I don't know if this is licensed. I do not recognize the chassis from any other vehicle. The radio actually, is there like a layer here or something? Oh, there is, okay. I was gonna say, that looks terrible. Let's peel this off. Okay. LDRC commonly puts instructions on their radios, which is great. And they're doing the same thing here. So we do have a third channel, fast, slow throttle switch. I doubt that means shifting. LDRC has a thing with these kind of drop-in batteries I don't really care for because I never figure out what's in there. It looks like we take 2 AA's. Yeah. The car's power is here, so we'll turn the radio on. Car on. Oh, sorry. Car on. Okay, first things first. I know everybody hates turn signals. I'm not one of those people. I love it. I love it. I love everything about turn signals. So this makes me extremely happy. Sweet. Okay, at the rear, this is wonderful. The vehicle is at rest and we have brake lights on as it should be. So that's great. So actually they're not brake lights. They're just tail lights. Okay, hit the brakes. I would say more appropriate would be they'd be off unless the lights are on, but good, we have reverse. What's interesting is that the driveline sounds great. It has a surprisingly good sound to it. Doesn't sound cheap at all. Let's see here. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so A is fast, slow throttle switch. Yeah, it's just a electronic speed increase. So floored. It sounds like a negligible increase. Third channel. Let's see if we hear something. No. So this probably no third channel. And the last one is headlight switch. So that's awesome. Headlights and driving lights, both on. They look really blue on camera. They're not. They're white. They're not that blue color whatsoever. Press it again. Oh, that's it. So it's just on, off. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, the second channel, why did that just happen? That's weird. Headlights off, headlights on. Ooh. Huh. Well. Oh God, we did it now. Crap. Now they're backwards. We'll just walk away now. Anyway, let's see how it drives around the desk. Why does it feel like it has a lot of power? Let's peel all these off real quick. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's weak for some reason. It feels like it's got a good amount of torque. Of course, it'll be difficult to determine that on the desk. Again, I think with a really good detail, it would look outstanding. And the wheels, oh, just horrific. I have to fix that. Yeah, it weirdly feels like it's got a lot of power. So I think the first thing to do is take it for a spin. This thing went through about 3 batteries at Proline by the fire, so that I would say did about an hour. A couple of things. A lot of people were really impressed by its looks because they've done a good job with the body on the vehicle. Now, granted, I still haven't installed any of the trim pieces, but still it has a great cosmetic look to it, ignoring the wheels, which are hideous. It also looked fabulous just driving along. That's typically where I used it. Other than the driving videos that you just saw, I normally just went for walks kind of through the vendor area and around the campsites, and it did beautifully as a tiny trail truck. I believe that it's geared too tall. The motor seems like it has enough power, but the speed that it has, I think, is misplaced in this particular package. And it really began to struggle anytime, and I hesitate to say rocks were crawled, but I did go over rocky surfaces that were kind of more or less in scale of the vehicle, and it liked to cut out. There's the voltage cut, the current cutoff in the ESC, and that did kind of become a little bit annoying there. And it is a direct result of the fact that this thing is just geared for speed versus geared for power. Now, granted, it's not a crawler, it's definitely a little trail truck, but when it comes to its overall, ground clearance, it's weird because it did better than you would have anticipated. Externally, it looks like, well, it's got hardly any suspension, and that is kind of true, but the fact is, it actually is able to, kind of drive decently well, given the fact that it's got little tires and sits at a scale height. I think there's room for improvement on this vehicle, but if you are looking for something a little bit bigger in scale than most WPLs, bigger than a lot of the smaller FMS cars, at a relatively inexpensive price point, and specifically for something that you can go on nice trail walks with, this is, a vehicle to look at. It's been great watching LDRC kind of mature. And again, one of the really cool things about this vehicle that we talked about early on is the fact that it is double wishbone with a, standard rear axle. This is a kind of a unique package. There are some vehicles out there like this, but it's still relatively rare to find something like this. So it'll be interesting to see the next steps that LDRC does. The lighting and all that is simply a bonus. And the radio, while I'm not in love with it, it did reasonably well, and I really had no complaints. It was also a very hot day, and well over 100 degrees, and this thing spent the whole time in the sun when it was driving and seemed to have no issues whatsoever. Anyway, folks, I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.